And now, back to Kids Are People Too.
Our next guest became a television star at the age of 6 when he played Opie on The Andy Griffith Show, one of my favorite shows, and lots of roles followed as he literally grew up on television. Then he came into our homes with the Cunningham family, and the Fonz in television history was made. Each week, millions of viewers settled in for some good times and some happy days.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, what a day. Rockin' all week with you. Days are to be mine.
Please welcome Ron Howard. Hey, you're on. Come on over and sit down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just thinking back, it must be kind of weird for you to watch TV in the afternoon where they're showing Happy Days and they're also still showing the Andy Griffith Show.
In some spots, back to back.
Really? You grow up awfully fast, right?
Well, little parents will bring kids up to me,
Yeah.
you know, little kids, and they'll say, "That's Richie," and the kid will get that, and then they'll say, "That's also Opie," and no way the child can fathom that.
I know, it must be
But,
kind of weird.
well, it's like home movies, seeing those old things.
Is
More
it
than
for you?
Yeah.
Does it bring back those memories of
Oh,
when you were
yeah.
that young?
Tremendous memories, because, you know, the real fun of a situation like that are the relationships that you develop with the people.
Yeah.
And the things that were going on in between. And I had a basketball hoop, and I would be shooting around.
On the set?
And he was always playing the guitar, and there was just a lot of joking around. It was very pleasant.
Do you ever look at an episode and say, "Oh, I remember shooting that episode. That's the week that I flunked a history test."
Yes, right. Or that's the week that it rained and we had to work late. Or that's the week that I had a big baseball game and they had to rearrange the schedule so I could be there. Yeah, but it really is a lot like home movies.
Well, now with you're moving a little bit more towards writing and directing right now.
Yeah.
And so you left. That was part of your decision to leave Happy Days, right?
Well, that was the reason. I mean, I was fully expecting to come back to Happy Days this year, and my contract was up, you know, so we were negotiating along, and suddenly this tremendous opportunity popped up to direct and produce full time, which is something that I've wanted most of my life, and so I took it.
Everybody I've ever talked to, Henry Winkler or Donnie Most, always says there's such a tremendous, Marion Ross, it's a tremendous family atmosphere on the show. And I wondered, was it difficult leaving that set of Happy Days?
Well, it was real difficult, and fortunately the season wasn't really in progress. I was on location making Skyward, this film that we're going to be talking about a little bit later, and when I made the decision, it all happened in about 36 hours. I mean, it was just, you know, whirlwind kind of a thing. And I called up everybody on the set, because I was going to be off that week anyway, because I was filming. And I spoke to the director, Jerry Paris, spoke to Henry, spoke to some of the cast, and it was about the hardest phone call I think I ever had to make. It was really difficult.
Richie Cunningham, and I guess Opie, to a certain extent, we're both, you know, nice guys, the boy next door and everything. Are you kind of like them, or did you ever do anything rebellious? I mean,
well, I was not a very rebellious character. I mean, I thought about ramming my fist through the plate glass window and stuff like that, but I never did it. I just, I would always kind of think, now seriously, Ron, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to drive 100 miles an hour down this winding road? You know, do you really want to do these crazy things? And most times I would say no and you know, move on to something else.
When you were growing up, and even in the past couple of years, do you ever look at yourself and say, gee whiz, I mean, I am an incredibly talented guy. I mean, we feel that way about you. I was wondering if you ever see yourself. You ever see yourself that way?
Well, I think that a lot of people have tremendous natural talent, and I don't feel that I have that. I think that I've been exposed to a lot of very talented people, and I think that I've got a pretty good facility for picking up information. You know, I was a pretty good student in school, and I can see somebody doing something that's interesting and sort of imitate it, but I don't always come up with the idea myself. I think that I'm a hard worker, and I think that the things I've been able to do have been more through just diligence and practice and keeping my eyes open than just like sheer talent.
Did you ever have any fantasies to be anything other than an actor?
Yeah, well, both baseball and basketball were big fantasies. big fantasies.
How tall are you?
5'9".
5'9".
Yeah.
And basketball?
Basketball is out of the question there.
Pro basketball, right?
Unless you're Calvin Murphy, who's
Yeah.
the one guy who can dunk with both hands, and he's 5'9", but I can't even touch the rim.
You never thought about pursuing them, though?
Well, I mean, I gave it a lot of thought, and then at one point I had to make a decision. Matter of fact, there was a period of time when I was about 16 years old. I was playing basketball, and I had really committed myself to being on the team in high school, and I was turning down a lot of acting jobs. Then, when the season ended, I was ready to go back to work, and there weren't any jobs at that time. I went for about 8 or 9 months without working, and at that point, that's when I realized that, look, this is a very competitive business, and if I really want to do it, if I want to excel at it, I've got to be competitive. I got to commit myself. So that was sort of an important transition there.
I'm glad you didn't become a baseball player or whatever. I'm
I
glad
got a
that
pretty
you
good knuckleball.
Do you? I'm glad you continued the acting, and I'm really excited about the potential as a director and as a writer.
Thank you.
And actually joining us right now on the show is the co-star of a television movie called Skyward that you directed. Did you also write that?
No, Anson Williams wrote the story, Nancy Sackett wrote the screenplay, and I directed it.
Okay, well, his co-star, the co-star from from Skyward, is with us, and so let's go over and meet Susie
Yeah, let's meet
Gilstrap.
Susie, she's great.
I'll let you sit over there.
Okay, hi to Susie.
Hi, Susie. How are you? I love kisses. First, I guess, tell us a little bit about the movie. You say Anson Williams.
Yeah, it was
Potsy wrote it?
Potsy, it was his story idea. Anson has done a lot of work with cerebral palsy. One time he was out on at a camp, working with some kids and kind of meeting them and making a personal appearance. And there was this one kid who just had a real chip on his shoulder. It was a real pain in the neck and a real downer to the whole situation. And finally, after a couple of hours, Anson was going around trying to be friendly, and this kid was still cold. And he said, "What's your problem?" The kid was in a wheelchair. Anson was standing up, and the kid looked up at him and said, "I'm tired of looking up all the time." Just like that. It just leveled Anson. I remember he came to work and told that story. Well, a few years later, he came up with an idea for a story.
And this is Skyward.
This is Skyward.
Okay, tell us.
About a girl who is disabled, confined to a wheelchair, has been all of her life, and the one thing that she dreams about is flying. You know, anything in the air, clouds, birds, she sees them, and she sees that as the ultimate freedom. And if she could fly, then she could look down on people for the first time. And it's a story about this girl learning to fly an airplane and the people who help her, Betty Davis and Howard Hessman.
And what's the name of the character?
Julie.
Julie. Now, Susie, you play Julie.
Yes, I do.
Are you like Julie at all?
Not at all, she's really withdrawn, and I don't really consider myself as withdrawn. And she lets her wheelchair get in the way of, you know, of things.
Have you ever acted before you did this?
Well, just school plays and stuff like that, but this is my first professional.
This is your first professional job.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 14.
14, and she's already co-starring in a movie. Pretty good. Now, how long have you been in a wheelchair? All your life, or?
No. 3 years ago, I was on a summer school field trip, and a tree branch fell and broke my back. It was from a big eucalyptus tree.
So you were able to walk until you were 11 then?
Right.
No kidding. Now, all of a sudden this happens on a field trip, you know? You get home, you find that you're not going to be able to walk again. How'd you cope with it?
Well, with a lot of support and love from my family. They're really, you know.
Yeah. Terrific folks?
Yes.
What about your friends, the ones who'd been with you at that time?
They helped me a lot too. They were always supportive of me, you know, and always stuck by me and go for whatever you want to do, you know.
That's the thing about Susie that's really extraordinary is she's got an amazing attitude. And, I mean, conquering this thing so that she can just function the way she can in a wheelchair is amazing. But I think it's also pretty amazing that she undertook this job. It never worked before. This opportunity came along. She gave it some thought. She said, okay, I'm going to try to tackle this. And then she went out and did it, and did a very good job. And I just think that she's got a whole attitude about life that should be a real example to everyone.
From a personal point of view, I think it's marvelous that instead of hiring an actor who can walk to play someone in a wheelchair, you actually hired someone in a wheelchair to play the part. What did Ron do for you as a director? What was he like working for?
Oh, he was great. He's the best.
You know she isn't going to say anything else, but no, he really was good?
Yeah, I had a problem with getting real emotional and getting mad when the script called for that.
That's
and
not
so,
your nature generally to be?
Right.
Okay.
And so he really helped me, you know, with that, told me some tricks and, you know, really
Made a
helped me
nice
out.
girl mean.
Yes.